No country has experienced the highs and lows of the World Cup quite like Colombia, with World Cup joy and tragedy in their history in equal measure. After an 8-year absence, Los Cafeteros are back and ready to add another, hopefully good chapter to its story. Welcome to Kickback Soccer Media's World Cup Capsules, where you'll learn everything you need to know about all 48 of the national teams competing at the 2026 World Cup. From the history of the game, the nation's current World Cup trajectory, unsung heroes, and cultural moments. I'm David Goss, and today we are talking about Los Cafeteros of Colombia. Colombia is a country proud of its national identity and always ready to display their spirit, culture, and talent on the pitch, and 2026 will be no different. They're led by Bayern Munich's Luis Díaz and aging national superstar James Rodríguez, along with younger stars like Yaser Asprilla. But along with the celebration and light that players and supporters bring to almost every game, there is a darkness in the sport's history. The game started in the early 1900s in the Atlantic region of the country, Barranquilla, which is where the national team plays their home games currently. It is believed to have been introduced by English engineers that were trying to build a railroad. The sport quickly became popular in the country and took over as the federation was founded in 1924 and then the domestic league in 1948. One of the most fascinating side quests in global soccer history is the 5-year period from 1949 to 54 in Colombia, where the league and the country were kicked out of FIFA. So the team spent lavishly on the top players in the world without paying transfer fees. It was spurred originally by a player strike in Argentina. Colombian clubs shipped in superstars from River Plate to start, but then they brought in global superstars from Hungary, England, Brazil, Uruguay, Italy, even as far as Yugoslavia and Romania. The time period is called El Dorado, and it might have been the best league in the world until they finally agreed to rejoin FIFA and get their national teams and leagues back into FIFA competition. But for the next 40 years, not much happened in Colombian soccer. The national team was considered weak and failed to draw many fans, largely due to the neglected investment for that team and the general destabilization of the country due to widespread crime and violence. Which brings us to the 90s, which, for better or worse, is the era that defined Colombian soccer in the global memory. First, the good. Los Cafeteros qualified for the 1990 World Cup. It was the first in 28 years, where in the group stage, they would play eventual champions West Germany to a dramatic 1-1 draw. They advanced to the group stage where they fell to Cameroon in extra time. The stars from this team became legends in Colombia and inspired a wave of hope in the country that they could transform Colombia into a South American powerhouse, that they were good and they were fun. Players like Captain Carlos Valderrama, famous for his wild hair but beloved for his midfield creativity and his mastery on the ball. Faustino Asprilla, a dynamic, unpredictable forward known for his flair. Freddy Rincon, a powerful box-to-box midfielder who scored the legendary late equalizer against West Germany in that 1990 World Cup. Of course, René Higuita, the flamboyant goalkeeper known for his scorpion kick. And finally, the beloved defensive rock of this group, Andrés Escobar. This group reached the semifinals of the 1993 Copa América, finishing third. And so expectations were high heading into the next World Cup in 1994. Some, even Pele, were saying that Colombia could win the whole thing. Now we get to the bad. After an opening game loss to Romania, Colombia entered a must-win game against the host, United States. In the 34th minute, while attempting to clear a U.S. cross, Andrés Escobar accidentally sent it directly into Colombia's goal, gifting the U.S. a 1-0 lead. Ernie Stewart doubled the lead, and the U.S. went on to win 2-1, eliminating Colombia from the tournament. Less than 2 weeks later, Escobar was murdered in Medellin in what is believed to be retribution from drug lords for his own goal just a few days before. Beyond the tragic loss of a great player and person, the incident was devastating for Colombia's reputation on the global stage, where they tried to shed their image as a nation of guns, drugs, and violence. Instead, The tragedy seemed to confirm this era of narco-football in Colombia, where the game and the country's drug lords and drug cartels were inextricably linked. Over 120,000 people attended Escobar's funeral, which became a peaceful demonstration against the prevailing violence. His quote, "Life does not end here," became a powerful message for overcoming adversity. And I could not recommend any more highly the documentary called Two Escobars, in which Andrés Escobar's story, of course in parallel to Pablo Escobar's story as the rise of the leader of the narco movement in Colombia, is explained and laid out beautifully in that documentary. In the ensuing years, the country and its football program slowly rebuilt, climbing out of the shadow of narco football. It wasn't easy, as clubs struggled without the infusion of drug money into their programs, and national team players quit or retired from the national team due to fear. They won their first and only Copa America title in 2001, but failed to qualify for the next 3 World Cups. But then 2 decades after their tragic 1994 tournament, a team and a player would emerge that put Colombia back on the world stage in a positive way. At the 2014 World Cup, Colombia took the world by storm. Led by legendary manager Jose Pekerman, Colombia were optimistic heading into the tournament, although they would be without their star striker Radamel Falcao, who tore his ACL earlier in the year. But in stepped James Rodríguez and crew. They rolled through the group stage, beating Greece 3-0, Ivory Coast 2-1, and Japan 4-1. Along the way, they captivated the world with their high-energy play and even higher-energy celebrations, including choreographed salsa dances. Millions poured into the streets and plazas across Colombia to watch matches, creating huge parties filled with yellow jerseys and national pride. They were the feel-good team of the tournament, and at the heart of it was Rodríguez. I was in Manaus, the closest Brazilian city to Colombia, during their final group stage game against Japan, and let me tell you, it felt like I was in Bogota or Medellin. Colombia fans flooded to Manaus, which was not hosting a Colombia game and didn't, but it was the closest World Cup city to the country of Colombia, and everyone wanted to be a part of the party, and those fans became the must-see group across the tournament. Colombia went on to beat Uruguay in the round of 16, powered by James Rodríguez, goal of the year winning volley off the underside of the crossbar. But the magical run ended in the quarterfinals, where they fell to host Brazil. A controversial game that was criticized in some corners for, of course, dodgy or homer refereeing to give Brazil the extra nudge it maybe needed to get through. There was a disallowed Colombia goal and a lot of Brazilian fouls. But despite falling short, Los Cafeteros' run unified the country, provided a collective joy and identity for the people of Colombia as James Rodríguez lifted the Golden Boot trophy. 4 years later, they made it to the round of 16 in 2018, but have been chasing the magic of Brazil ever since. Colombia failed to qualify for the 2022 World Cup after a toxic qualification process that saw them finish 6th in CONMEBOL and seemed to divide the locker room after some rough results. The process saw 2 head coaches get fired, as Carlos Queiroz was sacked following a 6-1 loss to Ecuador, and then Ronaldo Rueda was fired after failing to qualify. They went 7 straight games without scoring a goal. In part, the 2022 failure to qualify was a wake-up call for the federation. Colombia's 2026 qualification had some rough patches, but they ultimately were able to qualify by finishing 3rd in the CONMEBOL table, thanks to 9 combined goals over the last 2 matches against Bolivia and Venezuela that helped boost the goal differential tiebreaker. Colombia, Uruguay, Brazil, and Paraguay all finished with 28 points, making the 3 to 6 spots on the table, but Colombia, with that goal differential, were able to rise to 3rd. Their manager is Néstor Lopez. He was the assistant to Jose Pekerman for 7 years while Pekerman led the team. His only head coaching experience before this was a season and a half with Melgar of the Peruvian top tier, but that was more by choice. He'd been approached several times to be a head coach, but he seemed to like being an assistant. The head coach position, though, has suited him pretty well. He oversaw the majority of a 28-game win streak that lasted from early 2022 through the 2024 Copa America final in July when they lost to Argentina 1-0 in extra time. The streak includes victories against Germany, Brazil, and Spain. Known for connecting with players off the pitch in order to get the most out of them on the field. He has kept James still in the picture, despite being 34 and not being able to really find his footing at the club level. He's second in caps and goals all time for Colombia and in sight of both records. The team's moved away from a 4-3-3 and now plays in more of a 4-3-1-2 shape to allow James in the midfield to dictate games. But along with James, Colombia also has one of the world's top attacking players in Luis Díaz. Díaz started for Liverpool for 4 seasons before making the move to Bayern Munich in 2025, where he has flourished. He scored an incredible goal against Union Berlin in November, basically slotting it in while being even with the end line, and was named Bayern Munich's Player of the Month for November thanks to his 4 goals and an assist in 5 matches. Along with Díaz, Colombia boasts some other solid talent who play in Europe. Maybe not at as high of a level, but Yerry Mina is at Calgary, Jefferson Lerma and Daniel Munoz are at Crystal Palace, and John Duran is currently at Fenerbahce. But the young player to watch, Yaser Asprilla. 21-year-old that is the future for Colombia. He modeled his game after Ronaldinho, a daring, quick attacker that plays with confidence beyond his young age. He made the jump from the Colombian League straight to Watford and is now at Girona. He scored a goal in his second appearance with the Colombian national team in a win over Guatemala. He hasn't had huge moments for club or country yet, but he's one of those players when you watch for a minute, you know he has a special relationship with the ball. Playing time might be tough to come by with Colombia due to James still being around, but he is getting integrated slowly and should be an excellent option off the bench, at least at this World Cup. We mentioned his name before, but Carlos Valderrama is synonymous with Colombia. He spent most of his early career in Colombia before jumping to France and playing a key role with first division side Montpellier. He struggled to adapt at first, but with his incredible passing ability, he soon became the club's creative force and helped them win the Coupe de France in 1990. He then returned back to Colombia for a spell before joining Major League Soccer's Tampa Bay Mutiny in the league's first season. He became an MLS legend during his time in the league and helped popularize the league as it was still trying to grow. He was named MLS MVP in 1996 and had 26 assists in the 2000 season when he was 38 years old. He ended up being named to MLS's all-time best 11. So often considered the best Colombian player ever. Everything about him is iconic, from the hair to his playing style. While the country has largely shed its narco-football moniker, still the best way to describe football's place within the country is intense. People take the game very seriously in Colombia, and that extends to its rivalries. You've got the Colombian Superclásico between Millonarios from Bogotá and Nacional from Medellín, a rivalry between the nation's 2 most successful and popular clubs in the country. But you've also got El Clásico Paisa between Medellín's 2 biggest clubs, Nacional and Independiente de Medellín, known as DIM. You've also got the Clásico Vallecaucano between América de Cali and Deportivo Cali, considered one of the oldest and most intense rivalries in the country. This one split along cultural divides. América represents the working class, Deportivo represents the elite. All of these, along with several others, are defined by their ferocity, their passion, and their pride. Colombia were drawn into Group K, with Uzbekistan, a yet-to-be-determined intercontinental playoff winner, and Portugal. And you gotta say, that is the match to watch. It's the 3rd group stage game. It's going to be Portugal-Colombia in Miami, a major hub of vociferous Colombians as we saw at the 2024 Copa América final. This should be an insane atmosphere. Portugal will be a good early test for Los Cafeteros, who will have their sights set on another quarterfinal run. Fun fact, Colombia, it's a country of celebration. They have 18 public holidays each year. With only 2 to 3 weeks of vacation per year for the average Colombian worker, they were in need of some public holidays. And with 18 government-sanctioned holidays, most falling on a Monday. The only country with more public holidays is India. And hey, if this team does what they're capable of and wins a World Cup, that number of holidays could go up. Make sure to follow us at First Touch everywhere on your social media handles for all of our World Cup coverage. And here at Kickback 26, where we're doing one of these episodes about every single country that has qualified for the 2026 World Cup.